is out of the first ever NFL draft in the football-loving city of Detroit, Michigan.
What's up, Detroit? Let's go, baby!
Hey, you, come over here, man. Let's have a chat.
Say an appreciation for all the people here in the great city of Detroit. I mean, the host city that Detroit has been this week has been nothing short of remarkable. The energy has been off the charts.
What's up, Detroit? What's up, football fans? Thank you for showing the world how we do it here in Detroit. Hey, Detroit! Let's turn up tonight, baby!
With the 24th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Terrion Arnold, defensive back.
And it is my honor to announce that the 2024 NFL Draft has now broken the all-time record. 700,000 and counting.
Welcome into Detroit Lions Live 2024 NFL Draft Recap Show presented by Soaring Eagle. I'm Danny Rogers. Detroit crushed the all-time record for NFL draft attendance when over 700,000 people embarked on downtown to watch the 2024 NFL Draft. The Motor City showed the world how Detroit does football, and we caught up with the fans on how they're embracing this monumental event.
We are in downtown Detroit, ready for the NFL Draft.
I am so excited to be here because it's so great that Detroit is hosting this draft. And you know what? It's the mothership for the Lions.
Hey, listen, it's nothing new that the draft's been moving and Detroit it's their time. We've been out here all week and the city has been excellent. People are super nice here. We've had tons of people stop us just to talk about anything, really. Say thank you for even being here, which is crazy because, I don't know, I'm from Philly, so it's a little different around there.
Seeing it build, the excitement is incredible, the energy. I think that's the mood of everyone around here. It's just exciting. Everything about it is awesome.
It's really nice seeing how much has been added along Woodward. It's really cool seeing all the players' photos on the windows, the new signage for the street signs. There's just a buzz about this team, and it's really going to be exciting going forward.
Detroit's thriving, things are coming back, the city's thriving, and glad to see the city doing good.
I think most of us trust in Brad Holmes, so guessing what he's going to do is almost impossible.
Yeah, I feel like this year I've paid less attention to what's going on in the draft because I have full faith in what Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and the whole leadership in the Lions is doing.
Yeah, 100% agree. Excited about the draft, but probably paid less attention to it this year because I trust our management team that they're going to improve on what we've got. They proved it in the last couple of years, and I think it's going to be a much better team this year than last year.
Who knows what he's going to do?
I hope we get the greatest #1 pick.
Hey, I'm not a Lions fan. I'm a Jet fan through and through, but definitely jumped on the Lions bandwagon last year. I loved what Campbell did with the team.
They pack a lunch, they go to work, and it starts from the line and works its way out. And I wish them all the luck in the future.
Again, being from Philadelphia, I get to wake up and be a hater generally, but the Lions are a real neutral team. There's no bad blood, and I feel like much like us, had to wait a long time. I get it. So I was rooting for you guys. I mean, the whole way last time.
I think it's phenomenal. I mean, what we did with the Lions last year and how we upped our game, I think Detroit's going to shine, and I think it'll up that. You know, we're going to push this up a notch for the draft. I'm excited.
This is the best Detroit has ever been in a long time.
They got to do it this next year, 2024. They got to punch it.
So happy for the Lions this year, and I'm looking forward to next year.
Brad, the draft war room in Detroit goes semi-viral every year. Either you're calling in a pick too soon, or the coordinated outfits came out this year. Who gets credit for this?
Yeah, so we're big believers in if just because something's been done a certain way for so long, that doesn't mean that always has to be done that way. And we were talking because I think we still wore suits on the first night, and we kind of liked what we did today and yesterday, and we're like, why do we even wear suits on night one? Like, is there a rule? Like, is there? And there's no. So I think this is something that's going to just keep going. You know, the positional villain deal, obviously that came from me. Rod Wood came up with the idea of the Dan Campbell jerseys. I think it's here to stay. We just got to come up with a theme.
Calculated impatience is kind of how I would describe this draft. You didn't really want to stay put for any of the picks except for one at 61, but you jumped up 5 spots. You got Terrion Arnold at 24 overall. When he came to Detroit for his top 30 visit, he told Aaron Glenn he wanted to be coached by AG.
Yeah.
Hearing that conviction from a player, how did that further solidify your choice in him?
Yeah, you know what, he was our top corner, you know, and obviously when he came to his visit, you kind of see the personality, you see the makeup. Look, that's a hard position to play, and you got to be wired a certain way, and you got to have a lot of confidence to play that position, because there's going to be some times where you're going to get beat, you're going to have some lumps, but he's going to be just fine. Look, the program that he came from, getting coached by Nick Saban. You know, I know T-Rob, that's been his position coach in the past, who's coached a lot of good DBs, and so he's gonna be just fine. But him and AG, you know, and Deshae, it's gonna be a great fit. Again, his thing, Terrion, it's how far it's gonna go. You know, it's just how far it's going to go. And so we feel really good about his upside, but he's a kid that loves football. He loves football, and if you have a high passion for football, that's kind of the prerequisite to walk into this building.
Then you go to Ennis Rakestraw at 61 overall. They were both on their top 30 visit together. Yeah. Did that help you envision the future of the Detroit Lions cornerback room a little bit better?
Yeah, it's really cool to see the different personalities of all of them, and we try to do that. If we have like offensive line, we try to get them all in, or DBs, you try to get them all in. It doesn't always work out that way, but and they have 2 different personalities. They're both, you know, dogs in their own way, but. I thought it's really cool. Again, you never know how it's gonna work out. And you said, what was the word you used? Impatient.
Calculated impatience.
Calculated impatient.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I wasn't that patient in the second round either. I just couldn't really, you know, get up there. But it still worked out. I kind of had that aggressive feeling when I woke up the second day, and I was telling, you know, the media. When I went to bed last night, I literally was, hey, we're just going to sit tight. But I just kept thinking about Giovanni, you know, and then I woke up this morning and I was like, no. Like, so it got aggressive again. And, you know, I threw those 2 names, and Dan had the same 2 guys on his mind. And he said, let's just go get them.
Yeah, you talked about it. Day 3, you jump up 38 spots to get an offensive lineman in Giovanni Manu. University of British Columbia, going out to Canada to get this man. He loves playing with physicality, and he loves hitting people. That's what he brought from rugby to football.
Yeah.
Why will he fit so well in that Detroit Lions O-line room?
When we brought him in for his visit and hearing about his story and everything that he's been through, and, you know, opportunities that he actually turned down, just a part of the loyalty that he had, it just said so much about his character and what he's all about as a person, as a human being. He has all the physical traits to have all the upside to become a good football player in time. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time, but he's a project, you know, and I say project, he's just more developmental, but he's one of those developmental guys that you're really excited to work with. And he looks like a man amongst boys out there sometimes, and it's fun tape to watch. But you know, he's got all the traits. He's wired the right way. I think he's going to fit in here just perfect, and it's going to be really cool to see what the future looks like for him.
When you talk about a football player, that's the most simple way to explain Sione Vaki. He's played almost every position. You looked at him as a safety at first, and then you saw him run with a football in his hand. Where will he impact this team the most?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, it'll be special teams. You know, again, not saying that he can't play safety. He's been doing it in the Pac-12. He's been doing it at a high level. You know, but it was just something about when they got shorthanded at running back, and he got that ball in his hand, and I was just like, wait, what? Like, how do you do things that naturally with the ball in your hands if you haven't had a background with that? And so I just thought it was really impressive. He's got a lot of high upside. Again, I talked about we were already in love with the player, but when you watch his workout, it was really impressive. I don't think I've ever seen a player do basically a 4-position workout at one pro day. It was really impressive. You got to dig deep to get that done. You said it. It's a football player.
Another player you went up to go get at 189, LSU defensive tackle Mekhi Wingo. He wore number 18 at LSU. I know you're familiar with that. How special is it to wear that jersey, and how much did that play a role in him coming to Detroit?
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a long-standing tradition at that school, and you know, when you see a player that's wearing that jersey number, you already know what that's all about. You know, you have to earn that jersey number. You got to earn it, and it's a big deal at that school. But then within the personnel, football, NFL community, everybody knows whoever's wearing 18 there, okay, like that was earned. And you know, and then you start watching him how he plays the game, and the way he plays the game is a clear example of why he's wearing number 18. Watching his film from 2022, before seeing him, I actually thought he was going to be taller and bigger. And then when I saw him live, I was like, oh, he's a little shorter than what I thought. But that's not how he plays. And yeah, just really excited. And he's another guy. He's a football player. He's gritty. He's a great person. He's going to fit right in here.
You rounded things out with another offensive lineman, Christian Mahogany. You called him a dirtbag. I know Frank Ragnow and Taylor Decker are going to run with that. You think about the vets that are in the O-line room here right now. How critical is it to get young O-line in there with them while they're still playing? Yeah,
you know, and that all goes into the decision-making process. You know, if it's for a Giovanni, if it's for a Christian, you know, how is your room set up right now? And is your room set up and your locker room set up to really so their futures can be put, you know, in the best position so that they can succeed. And I do think we have that. So, you know, there's some guys that, you know, might not fit. Or if we had our locker room or that room structured a little bit different, you know, but I think for Giovanni and Christian, those guys are going to fit right in. Again, those guys are football players, completely different personalities, but, you know, yeah, it's just excited for those future. But you brought up a good point. The way, if you have a strong veteran room like we have, in a great O-line coach in Hank, you know, we can do a lot of different things.
Hey, Terrion. It's Brad Holmes, GM of Detroit Lions. How you doing, man? Hey, Terrion. It's Brad Holmes, GM of Detroit Lions. How you doing, man? You ready to be a Lion? Ready to see your boy BB again? All right, my man. Congratulations, man. You're gonna turn your card in right here, all right? Hey, let me get you on the phone with our head coach, Dan Campbell, all right?
Terrion. Hey, congratulations. Hey, we're excited to have you. You come in here and compete. Help us out. You know what I mean? All right, brother, we're fired up. Hey, I'm going to pass you over to our owner, all right? Sheila Hamp. Here she is.
Yes.
I was excited in the background.
Had a baby.
We're looking forward to getting you here. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome back. I'm now joined by DetroitLions.com senior writer Tim Twentyman. And when you look at this 2024 NFL Draft, General Manager Brad Holmes sent a couple of messages. One of them being he was not going to wait for the players he wanted to be on the board when Lions were supposed to select. And number two, he is going to build the future of the cornerbacks room in this draft. And it all started with Terrion Arnold, number 24 overall. Holmes goes up 5 spots to get him. What is Detroit getting out of that Alabama player?
How about those Alabama guys, right, Danny? I mean, what is it, 3 years in a row between J-Mo and Branch and Gibbs and now Terrion Arnold? And what I think you're getting in Terrion Arnold is a complete player. You know, when you look at Alabama's defense, it's really a multi-scheme defense. He plays man, he plays zone, 70% of his snaps on the outside, but you know, he also followed top receivers and played inside well. So he showed really, to me, the whole skill set, and that's what he brings. And look, Brad Holmes really remade this secondary this offseason, especially in that cornerback room, right? With getting Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson in free agency. And to me, I think Arnold is a guy that now can step in and compete for that number 2 cornerback spot, and it just gives them depth. And he talked about it after the pick, like since he got here in 2021, he's been wanting to kind of get some young guys in there and build the future of that position. And the selection of Terrion Arnold certainly allows them to do that. I think he's a guy that comes in, can play a lot of different roles, and I think competes day one for that number 2 cornerback spot.
Defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn told me that some football players play like a cornerback and some are cornerbacks. He said Terrion Arnold is a cornerback. And I feel like you know that once you hear him say he's going to get a Hall of Fame jacket one day. He said that back at the Combine. How much confidence exudes from Arnold? And he's just 21 years old too.
Yeah, a ton. You know, and I think when you're at Alabama and you're playing as a freshman at Alabama, that says something. That doesn't happen a whole lot with Nick Saban. And so, you know, he was a guy that's played for a long time. Obviously, it's a terrific program. And Nick pushes those guys, right? And the one thing I loved is that, you know, he said, look, I like being coached hard. And you got to love that if you're Aaron Glenn, if you're Jay Townsend, if you're one of those guys that now is you know, he's going to be in your room, you know, he's going to take the criticism. He wants to be great. And to your point about being a Hall of Famer, I think that's the quality that Hall of Fame guys have, right? They want to be coached. They want to be pushed. They want to be yelled at. And you know, he's certainly going to get that, you know, early in training camp here. But to me, he's got that mindset that you know, he absorbs that, he loves it, he wants to be great, he wants to get better, and I think he's just a perfect fit, not just from an X's and O's standpoint, but from a gritty mental standpoint and what they're looking for in players, you know, wanting to be better.
Some critics have harped on Terrion Arnold's size. Maybe he's a little bit undersized. I know Coach Glenn doesn't really care about any of that undersized talk. He was fine in the league. So what do you say to the critics who say, well, Terrion Arnold, he could be a little bit bigger? It doesn't really play into a lack of physicality because he's got it all.
No, you said it. Look at Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn isn't a big guy.
No offense, Coach. No
offense, Coach. But look, 15 years, right? 3 Pro Bowls. I mean, there's a lot of different body types, a lot of different guys that get it done at that position. Look, if you don't mind coming up being physical in the run game, if you can play man, you can play zone, and you have terrific instincts and terrific eyes, it doesn't matter how big you are. Would you like them all to be 6'3", 210 like Fatu Melifon? Sure, yeah, that's great, right? But they come in all shapes, all sizes in this league. So you see Pro Bowlers ranging from, you know, 5'10" to 6'3". If you got instincts, you can play this game, you have the right mentality, and you want to be good, you can be good in this house.
You mentioned the cornerback battle that is to come. We're going to touch on that coming up here in a little bit. But first, Terrion Arnold, 24th overall pick to the Detroit Lions, made the very short commute from downtown Detroit to Allen Park Friday morning, and we got to tag along. Check it out.
When I got a chance to come here and take my top 30 visit, I've never been here before. I can just kind of feel it in my spirit. This is home. That's why I even said it when I got drafted, like I'm home. Being here, it feels like it's the right place for me. I'm the most electric corner in this draft class, and I'll soon be the most electric corner in the National Football League. And just hearing the call from Brad, I was fired up. The fans showing up to the draft, 275,000, and breaking the record, and it was cold. Like, it was really cold out there. So that just showed the type of loyalty they have here. And I already said it, man. I feel like we got the best fans in the NFL. It feels amazing. I'm a Lion, man. Like, went to sleep last night a Lion, woke up a Lion. So, as they would say here, one pride. Just showed up to the facility, man. I got my boy in the cut. Mom in here, man.
Thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And then after that, just thank you to Miss Sheila Helm, Brad Holmes, and Coach Campbell for just believing in me, trading up to get me. Like, I don't take that lightly.
You got your defensive coordinator that was a cornerback in this league for a long time, played at a really high level. What kind of guy did you kind of get that he was?
Well, when I first came here, he said that he saw something in me. And I was like, Coach, you probably see that dog. So then just after that, formulating a relationship with him and being around him, I could tell that he wasn't a pretender. A lot of times, real recognize real, and that's the same thing with him recognizing me.
You said you was invested a little more because you knew guys that play here. I guess your perception of just the team, and have you envisioned how you see yourself in playing with those guys as you was watching them a little extra last year?
I envision myself as coming in here humble and just open to learn. I don't think I know everything. I don't want to come in here and just be that rookie who thinks he's going to start. I know I'm going to have to work for everything. I want to learn from the vets, and even me being in the locker room, I was in there with some of the veterans, and they just said that they were grateful to have me here. So you could just tell they welcome you with open arms. I just want to come in here and show that I'm eager to learn and eager to develop.
Last night, the moment, there's a trade, you get picked, and just the emotions that you had and what it meant to you that the Lions jumped up to select you.
They traded up to select me, and I'll always be grateful for that, and I won't take it for granted. I'm already coming in here with a chip on my shoulder, but it's just going to be that much more of a chip on my shoulder. Same thing with the mock drafts. People could have kind of saw like, wow, I didn't expect Terrion Arnold to go this low. I expect him to go higher, but honestly, I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Brad Holmes went cornerback again with his second pick in this 2024 NFL draft. 61st overall. Fun fact, that is the only draft pick that Brad Holmes stayed put at. He either traded or moved around on his board. I know, it's crazy. So he opted to go for Ennis Rakestraw out of Mizzou. He's, once again, critics will say maybe undersized. However, he said he will go up and set the edge. And I think that's all you need to know about Ennis Rakestraw when it comes to why Detroit decided to go with him 61st overall.
Yeah, I love how Holmes described him when he said they were talking to him, and he said, there's a little dog in him, you know? And I love that part. And you watch the film and you look at his tape, that's what Ennis is. I mean, he is a guy that will come up and stick you. And when we talked to him after the pick, he said, look, yeah, I play cornerback, but I'm gonna come up and hit you like a linebacker, and that fits what Detroit does defensively. That fits Aaron Glenn, right? And so, yeah, he's a guy, you know, that can play sticky coverage. But the one thing you have to do in this defense, if you're going to play cornerback for Aaron Glenn,
guess what it is?
What is it?
You have to be versatile. Did I hit it? Come on!
You have to be versatile in the sense that you got to come up and play the run.
Yeah.
You don't like sticking your head in there. You don't like tackling. You don't like playing the run. Sorry. You ain't playing for Aaron Glenn. That's just how it is. And that, when I watched the tape of Rakestraw, that's what stood out to me. Just the physical brand of football that he plays, and it just fits. You know, is he as clean as Terrion Arnold? No. That's why he wasn't, you know, a top 15 pick. But I think in terms of physicality, he plays much bigger than his frame indicates, and that to me is something that certainly fits his defense.
Okay, so you got to come up and stop the run in the secondary, from the secondary, and you got to be versatile.
You got to play inside, outside. Again, like we talked about with Terrion Arnold, there's a guy that can play inside, that can play outside. It's on film for both, and you know, defensive coordinators love that kind of versatility because you never know what's going to happen with an injury. You know, what happens if, you know, Kirby Joseph goes down and, you know, you've cross-trained Brian Branch and now he's got to go to safety, and you can have a guy that steps in there and play nickel, and you can still do everything you want to do in the game plan. So that's why coaches love that kind of versatility, because like we talked about with Terrion Arnold, that injury rate back there is so high. You're going to have games where you're going to have to, you know, plug and play some different guys. And if you can do that and still play the kind of defense that you want to play, you know, be aggressive, man coverage, blitz, play one-on-one behind it, you know, that is advantageous for Aaron Glenn, and that's why they look for guys that have that skill set.
Is there another position group for Detroit Lions that you'll be watching more closely now than the cornerbacks?
Oh boy, that's hard. I don't think so. I think when you look across every other position, you know, this was the best roster that Brad Holmes had heading into the draft, in my opinion. You know, I don't think there was a weakness across the board. I think when you looked at it, you could say, well, depth at cornerback was probably the biggest need, and now you've addressed that in round 1, round 2, and now how does that depth play out? Where does the pecking order go? I think that's going to be the fun part about spring and summer.
All right, well, Brad Holmes said that there are 2 different personalities between Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. We got to know Rakestraw a little bit more after he was selected here to the Detroit Lions. Let's take a listen.
You know, everybody wait for the phone call to be made. So it was just a lot of waiting, anxious, and watching players go by, just really anxious. So I was extremely proud and grateful for the moment. I'm glad I got to talk to Coach. I like how Coach is, Coach Campbell, his philosophy and the coordinator philosophy about physicality. I feel like that's what I brought, so I feel like it was a great fit. Terrion, I didn't think he would fall that low in the draft, so it was kind of crazy to see, but they picked up a great corner, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. So me and Arnold actually was on our top 30 visits together, so it was great to actually get to know him a little bit better now, because he seemed like a cool dude, chill dude, and his drive and determination is what the Lions want, and I feel like my drive and determination is what they want as well. So we're just trying to get to work as soon as possible. Our visit, I didn't know Arnold was there until, you know, I got in the car, and obviously, you know, we SEC guys, so SEC know each other a lot, so we was talking, seen him at the combine. We chopped it up at the combine, and when we was there, we just a lot of laughs. You know, we at that point, you know, this is a journey. It wasn't our final destination, but we just enjoyed it in every moment of that. Their player coaches, all of them in the building, when I walked around, there was one unique thing that I seen in the Lions organization. It's a whole bunch of talented coaches who once were players, so they know the ins and outs of both worlds. I call myself the tone setter. My defense used to call me the firecracker of the team because, yeah, I'm a corner, but I'll come up and set an edge. I'll hit you like a linebacker, and I'll let my presence be felt every play that I'm out there. The PBUs that I make, you can tell I'm judging the ball. Some of the passes in the air, you still got to judge it. It's never been a time where I jump too early or anything. It just me. Need to be on the jugs a little bit more. Some of my PBUs could have been interceptions when I watch film, so just fixing my technique and staying sharp. And as I do that, I feel like I'm having more interceptions. I'm going to be more effective in the league on that aspect of the game than I was in college, because now I know exactly what I need to work on. I feel that I'm where I'm supposed to be in the draft through, you know, my process or whatever. I feel like I kind of went a lot earlier, but I can't look at it that way. I'm in the best fit for me as possible. So I'm finna just prove the Lions right and everybody else wrong.
And then on day 3, Brad Holmes says he, lost a little bit of sleep thinking about these picks. He thought going to bed, he was going to be patient and not move up in this draft. He moved on up. Specifically, he started things off with offensive lineman Giovanni Manu. He jumped 38 spots to get this tackle, who's 6'8". You can't miss him when he steps into a room. And he's hailing from Canada, University of British Columbia. That's not something you hear every day. What is he going to bring to the depth of this Detroit Lions O-line? Because we know Detroit has got some pretty good tackles already.
You know, he's a great example of that line. They say, if you can play, the NFL will find you. Well, that's certainly the case with this guy because, you know, out in British Columbia, not playing the greatest talent. But to me, this is not a pick for 2024. This is a pick for beyond. I think you look at the physical traits, 6'8", like you mentioned, you know, 350 pounds, you know, a massive human being, but quick feet, you know. And now you've got to see if he can do that against, you know, a little bit better competition. But I think you take the physical traits there and you love that. If you look at his 40 time at his pro day and his vertical, it would have been in the 90th percentile of the tackles had he been invited to the combine. So you're talking about traits there, right? And when you get into day 3, that's what it's about. You know, obviously these guys have flaws. That's why they're day 3 picks. But you look at some of those traits that fit, and with him, he is a massive human being. When he gets his hands on you with those long arms, big hands, and big frame, you know, he can keep guys away from the quarterback. And he's got to develop. He's got to get stronger. He's got to, you know, be able to bend a little bit the ankles and the hips a little bit more. But that's stuff that Hank Fraley's going to, you know, once he gets in Hank's room and sees those guys ahead of him, he's going to learn quick. I think it's the traits with him that get you really excited for the future, Danny.
6 picks later at 132. Brad Holmes opts to go for Sione Vaki out of Utah. He was called off as a running back in the draft. Then we look, it appears he is listed as a safety. Then he's got special teams rep, lined up at quarterback for Utah. He is going to be used in the running backs room to an extent, but also special teams is what Brad Holmes is saying, and he could not speak more highly of Sione Vaki. What have you learned about him so far?
We talked about it with Rakestraw, right? Versatile. That's what I see when I see him. You know, he is a guy that came in as a safety. They were decimated at running back at Utah, and he just stepped in one day. They asked him, and he showed something. And Brad talked about his ability with not even majoring in it, is what he kept saying. He didn't major in running back, but he saw those traits and how hard he ran, how he could catch the football. And to me, I think this is more of a special teams pick. And I talked to Brad Holmes at the annual league meetings, and people have to remember that the kickoff rules in the NFL has changed significantly. That play is back in the game now. And you're gonna see a kickoff return just about every time now. And to me, he's a guy that played all 4 core special teams. He's got a unique body in that he's big enough for safety, but he's got the ball skills and movement skills for a running back, and he's got some return potential. So to me, that is Brad Holmes saying, wait a minute, these kickoff rules are going to change a little bit. We're going to need some different body types, and we might need a guy who can really be a difference maker as a returner. Do not be surprised if you see him returning kicks in minicamp, if you see him returning kicks in the spring and early in training camp. I think that was a pick that Brad said, let's look at this kickoff rule, and I think we've got a guy here that can be, you know, a problem for other teams in that aspect of the game. You just can't have enough of those guys on your football team. You and I both know, Dan Campbell's talked about it a lot, just how important he values special teams. I mean, that's been an emphasis of his since he got here in 2021. To me, that's what this pick is. That's a guy that he thinks can make a difference on special teams, and you never know, that can be the difference in a game, especially a close game. Is a big play on special teams. This kid might provide that.
All right, at 189, Brad Holmes goes back to the SEC. He's going to pick up Mekhi Wingo there, defensive tackle, who's going to go into a room with Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader in there as well. And Wingo wore number 18 at LSU. For those who don't know, it's a very big deal. You have to be chosen to wear number 18 down there in the Bayou. So what is he going to learn from the likes of Reader and McNeil once Wingo gets to Detroit?
He's going to look different than those two, that's for sure. You know, when you look at him, he's a different body type. You know, he's 6 foot, 284. You know, so he's a little bit smaller of a guy. And when I look at him and when you watch him, and he was one of the guys that I put on my 10 prospects that could fit Detroit for day 3 after Friday night's draft, just because when I looked at him, I saw a guy who provides something maybe a little bit different than McNeil and Reader. When you look at McNeil and Reader, they were both ranked in the top 10 by PFF last year in run defense. So you've got 2 guys that are walls right in the middle. To me, what Wingo provides a little bit more is some pass rush and some pass rush ability. A quick first step, a little bit undersized. You never want to use the comparison to Aaron Donald because that's not fair for that kid.
No,
but the body
fair.
type is similar, right? And I thought it was interesting when we talked to Brad Holmes after the pick, he said, don't just single that guy into the middle at defensive tackle. I think he's got a skill set much like Josh Paschal, where we've seen Josh play inside, we've seen Josh play outside, provide some pass rush from the outside. I think that's what this kid is. You've got DJ Reader and you've got Aleem McNeil. That's your wall. That's your, stopping the run. I think those two can provide something in the pass rush as well, obviously. But to me, that's what this kid provides, is something a little bit different skill set, a little bit different body type that you can push inside, outside. He's got some sack production in college, and he's going to learn a lot from those two guys. And I think it's going to allow Detroit to be a little bit more versatile, that word again, up front on the defensive line.
All right, so Wingo adds to the depth there along the defensive line. Along the offensive line, Brad Holmes' final pick in the 2024 NFL Draft is at 210 overall, Christian Mahogany out of Boston College. 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits allowed last season. That's a special kid. Only 5 players in the FBS were able to do that. He's going to go into one of our favorite rooms in the Detroit Lions. It's the O-line room. Yeah. What is he going to learn from those veterans in there?
He's going to learn a ton. Yeah. Because that's what his role is going to be. He's going to compete with Corby Sorsdahl and Awosika to be, that backup kind of guy. But I love the line that Brad Holmes used describing him when he said he's got some dirtbag to his game.
He's from Jersey.
I love that. And I asked him about that, afterward, and he said, "Oh, that's a compliment. I take that. I love that. I'm bringing that to the NFL." That certainly fits with what Detroit wants to be up front. I think it fits with what Lions fans want their offensive line to be, and that's what he is when you watch him. He's a physical mauler in the run game. I think he's got, he's got to improve some technique, do some things in the pass pro, and like we we talked about before, Hank Fraley will get him up on that kind of technique, but you can't teach dirtbag. You can't teach that mentality, that rough style, that feistiness in the run game. That's what Detroit wants to do offensively first and foremost. They want to run the football, build everything out after that. So getting guys that are really good in that aspect of the game, that's priority number one.
Detroit Lions, successful draft. The city of Detroit
set a record for attendance, right?
700,000
Good for you
people,
for showing out.
Right?
That was fun to watch. Thursday was nuts. You were there.
Yeah, no, it was.
I was watching from afar, and it looked crazy from TV. Was it as crazy there?
Yeah, and just standing there, it just makes you emotional. The city of Detroit's come so far, and
It's a
it meant a
football
lot.
town. Let me do this.
Yeah.
They showed 800,000 or whatever the final number is going to be for the draft. Can you ever imagine if they have a Super Bowl parade down there?
All right,
I'm just
you're
saying,
getting the
Danny,
people
I'm throwing it out there.
I'm trying
What
to
would
end
that
the show,
number
and you're
be?
getting
Okay.
the people started. All right, for Tim 20min, I'm Danny Rogers. That is a wrap on the 2024 NFL Draft. Thanks so much for tuning in.
you.